Alpha Day, everyone. Welcome to D14 Tonight, our election show that gives you the opportunity to meet your candidates so that you can make an informed decision when you head to the polls in November. Before we talk with our first group of live in-studio guests, first Jason explains how you can be a part of our virtual audience. Jason.
All right, thanks so much, Sabrina and Hafaday, and hello, everybody. We are in our virtual studio right now, and we are going to take your responses and your participation. You can join us right now. Just go to our Facebook fan page at KUAM.com/Facebook and just send us your Gmail or Google Apps address and we will send you an invite. You can join our multi-user video chat right now and you'll be able to interact with the guests right now. It was a great session last week and we can't wait to do it again. You can talk to other voters, you can interact directly with the candidates, and you can also join on the KUAM News mobile app. That's of course for iOS and Android. We got a lot of stuff going on and we're going to have a great conversation, so we can't wait for it to get started. We will see you when the guests are finished with Sabrina. They're going to come over here and we're going to have a great conversation. See you in a bit.
Thanks, Jason. That's just one of the many ways you can interact with our candidates. You can also just pick up the phone and give us a call at 632-TALK. That is 632-8255. Without further ado here, please welcome our first set of guests, incumbents Republican Senator Brent McCready, Roy Respicio, and Tommy Morrison. Thank you guys for being with us this evening.
Thank you for having us.
We'll start with first giving you guys 1 minute for your opening comments, and we'll start with you, Tom.
Thank you, Sabrina. Hafaday, people of Guam. 2 years ago, I stated that I wanted to improve government customer service, and with the help of my colleagues, we were able to establish the Office of Technology and look to that office to invest more in e-government initiatives, and we're doing that right now so that we can improve government customer service throughout our government. 2 years ago, I also worked closely to establish the Public Recreation Service Fund, and we got that going today with the help of my colleagues. That is dedicated to improving more youth programs in our communities and allowing our children to be engaged in more positive activity out there. It's been a humbling experience this past 2 years, but every single day I work hard for the people of Guam. I humbly ask for your help this coming November 4th. Thank you.
Senator Respicio.
Yeah, thank you, Sabrina, and good evening to all your listeners and your viewers. I'm very grateful to continue to have an opportunity to serve in the legislature. This year continues to be a productive year in the legislature, productive term. In the beginning, through the help of my colleagues, we passed a bill that says any new taxes paid for by the new hospital shall automatically go to the Guam Memorial Hospital. We said that any tax savings from the Bush tax cuts shall automatically go to the Department of Education. We also continue to support things like the law enforcement pay, the Hay study implementation, cost of living allowances for the retirees. We also, in this term, I'm very happy that we are paying special emphasis to keeping our government open and accessible through the FOIA Council. And so what I've been able to do this term is to just bring people together and do whatever needs to be done to address all the challenges. I'm humbly asking that people continue to give me their vote so I can continue to serve them in the legislature. Thank you.
Brent.
Thank you, Sabrina. My name is Brent McCready. I'm a proud member of the McCready family. My wife Dina's the boss, and I'm a proud father of 4 wonderful children. When I legislate as if I was legislating for my own family. When I put my kids to sleep at night and my wife to sleep, I make sure they're fed, they're clothed, and the one thing that I make certain is they're safe. And that's the kind of legislator that I am. I'm a public safety legislator and someone who cares about not just the quality of life of our people, but the safety of our people, our traditions, and our values. And I think that's something that I am very proud of in my first term. And of course, I'm asking for a second term so I can continue to fight for what I think is right, and that's the protection, absolute protection of the people of Guam. Thank you.
All 3 of you are incumbents. If re-elected, I guess what would you do differently? We'll start with you, Roy.
Well, I will continue to be open and accessible. What I would do differently in the upcoming term is basically just present myself and my priorities being health, education, public safety. But really, I think I would be more aggressive in following through on all the laws and equal applications of the laws. I I wish I did issues like Dr. Joseph in the Wiseout case earlier in my term, where I believe that he's not being treated the same way others are being treated. And I think that's been the plank of what I've done over the last 12 years, is to stand up for the people of Guam. And I would want to be more aggressive about that.
Brad?
Differently, I would just try and wake up every day and do a better job. As far as getting along with my colleagues and being a good colleague, I think that's very important. Listening to our constituents, I think, is at the utmost of importance, and making sure that the branches of the government that run the island and the leaders that we are, as we have respect and responsible dialogue with one another. I think it's very important that we make sure the governor and lieutenant governor is included in all the decisions we make, so we can move this island forward together. I think when you separate people and you divide them and the light's at the end of the tunnel, you keep building tunnels, you get nowhere. I think a true leader and true leadership is people working together, making others better, and making sure that we sustain this island in a positive way, Republican or Democrat.
Senator Morse.
Well, I want to continue the progress of our offices in those two initiatives of improving government customer service, and of course more programs for our children, more programs for our youth in the village communities. That's what I would like to continue on. But what I like to see holistically throughout the legislature is really truly look at the merit of every bill that comes into play, and give every bill a fair shot. I understand a lot of times there's politics involved, but in the end of the day, there's a lot of people involved in putting this legislation together. So I hope going forward that as a body that we would look to give every bill an opportunity, a fair shot, and allow those folks that played a role in crafting that legislation to come to the table and provide their testimony for or against.
Okay. We have a question from one of our Facebook viewers, Chris Abulancha. He asks, drug testing for welfare recipients, for or against? And please explain your response, and we'll start with you, Brent.
I think everyone should be clean and tested. I do think there's a caveat to that when you talk about that, and will it affect the children? So I would want to make sure that we did our research and make sure that no children were affected by it. I think it's very important that whether you're on welfare or whether you're not on welfare, the objective is to just be a productive member of our society, follow the laws, and hopefully you can get yourself off of welfare and get into the workforce. But I definitely would not want to hurt any of the children of our island because somebody was under the influence or tested positive. So that's my answer.
In several terms ago, I actually introduced a bill to require drug testing for welfare recipients, and I recall at the time the public health testified that they didn't have money to do the drug testing. The Attorney General's office at the time also said that there may be some constitutional issues where you can't target certain groups of people or certain demographics and have them drug tested. In the last term, former Senator Sam Abini also introduced a bill. And so while it's something that we can agree to in concept, in theory, in concept, there are probably constitutional questions that have to be answered, and some legalities that have to be addressed before moving forward on that kind of idea.
I'm very interested in learning more of how we can implement something like this, Bree, because as Senator McCready stated, I'm concerned of how if a family member was found positive for drugs, and there is of course families attached to that, children attached to that, and the potential for those children to be put out into the streets. I mean, I'm concerned that we have to ensure that our children are protected at the end of the day. It is our concern that we do have a drug problem overall throughout this island. And again, I ran on issues to make sure that we reach out to these children and keep them busy with positive activities so that in the future we don't face these types of problems.
We have another question from social media. This one is from Jenny Joy. She says, it seems that some people think that only the central and northern parts of Guam are the hot spots for tourists. But when I was growing up, I remember a lot of them being down south. All the time now, it's rare. I personally think that people forgot the southern hospitality, and that even though our numbers aren't as high as the central and north, we still matter. My question is, what would you do to help make the South the same as it was before, like historic sites and beautiful lookouts? Also, for the higher authorities, don't only acknowledge us when there's certain events. And you're from the South, so I'll start with you, Tom.
Well, I'm a son of the South. I grew up there. There is a lot of historical significance, a rich history in the South, and there's a lot of value in that. There's a lot of economic value in that. And I believe this is where we pool partners together, pool GITA together, work with the administration, the legislature, and develop plans, a preservation trust, and pull these folks in and look at how we can work with these communities down south to develop opportunities that can help sustain the community as well. Yes, we've been in discussions about this. I know Inarahan has put out their plans as far as how they want to see their community develop, but we have to take that model throughout the South. I'm very interested in seeing this through and hoping that we can pull more visitors down south that will help sustain those communities in the future.
In addition to what Senator Morrison is saying, there are also ideas for cultural tourism. I mean, Gev Pago is a shining example. Also in pneumatic, there's some ideas to have a cruise industry as it comes into Guam. Maybe they can port in the pneumatic bay and then have them come down from there and then set up some kind of small business incubator type programs where the villagers can be able to sell their cultural things to the tourists that come. But cultural tourism is the only way to bring tourists to go throughout the entire island and understand and believe and see why Guam is such a very special place.
Well, I think either tourism or just doing our part as leaders to never forget the South, and that's something that I pledged to do early on in the campaign. Ironically, 2 weeks ago, I received an award from the mayor of Inarahan as a community partner for donating services and wellness equipment to the village of Inarahan. Senator Morrison and I donated village equipment to Pneumatics Village as well. And we had just introduced a bill that puts gyms in the South, gyms in every village. We started off in Baragana, that's a tax credit program with a $2.5 million cap on it that starts in Agate, and we go through Inarahan and the entire South and make sure that they're not forgotten. So I think it's very important, whether it's tourism or just everyday life. We cannot just be senators of the South when it's election time. I think we have to be senators of the South every day. We have to be senators of the North, Central, and we have to do our part as leaders. And with the son of the South right here, Tommy Morrison, you can't go wrong when you team up with him and you take care of the South. So.
All right. Well, we've reached our time limit, but I'm going to give you each a minute for your closing statements. We'll start with you, Brant.
Well, thank you very much, Sabrina. Once again, my name is Brant McCready. I'm number 9 on the ballot. Humbly ask for your vote. I considered myself an underdog 2 years ago, and I consider myself an underdog again in 2 months from now, November 4th. However, I will keep fighting for what I think is right, and that's the protection of our island. I think tourism is our greatest attraction and our achievement, but the biggest thing that we have to protect is our island, our traditions, and our culture. And I will continue to do that, use every fiber in my body every day that I work to make sure that I fight crime with punishment, and I take on these criminals head on and be a proactive proponent for crime.
Okay. Senator.
Thank you, Bree. I'm grateful that my wife Jolene and our son RJ and our entire family is very supportive of the work that I have to do, that I've done in the legislature the last several terms. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. I'm number 5 on the ballot. I'm Roy Respicio, and people who know me know that I'm not afraid to back down from any opportunity to stand up and address whatever needs to be addressed. And most recently, I'm going to ask my colleagues in the legislature to support a bill that I introduced that would provide for a gymnasium and classrooms in partnership with the FIFA sports organization. So the work continues, and I humbly ask for their vote.
Well, thank you, Sabrina, and thank you, KUAM, for this opportunity to answer some tough questions tonight. I'm seeking the people of Guam support for the 33rd Guam legislature. I believe our office has made significant progress in the area of advancing government customer service and bringing more youth opportunities for our community. I am Senator Tommy Morrison, and I'm number 8 on the ballot. I want to continue to work hard for you every single day. And have a nice night. God bless.
Well, thank you guys for coming in. Everyone, remember the conversation doesn't end here. You can still interact with the candidates by going to KUAM News Facebook page and be a part of our virtual audience. Best of luck to all of you in November.
you.
Still to come, we will bring in another group of your senatorial candidates, plus cruising with the candidates. In the passenger seat is Republican Margaret Metcalf, hoping to unseat incumbent Madeline Bordallo. Stay tuned. D14 Tonight continues in a moment.
Brought to you by Triple J, celebrating 30 years of putting our customers first.